1994. What a year to be a senior in high school. What a year to be the Christian County varsity 171-pound wrestler. And what a year to win an individual state championship for the Colonels. Our guest here today checks all three of those boxes. Sir, if you would, tell us who you are.
How you doing? I'm Desmond Wilford, 1994, Christian County Colonel, 171-pound state champion.
And you are, as of this filming, we're filming this on April the 9th, 2024. You are the 17th state champion that we've met with from Christian County. Now, Christian County's history, you guys have seen several of their, like I said, this is video number 17, but just a real quick history. 1988 individual or team state champions, 25 individuals. There's only a very few number that we have to meet with, and I'm going to read them off real quick. 1972, Frank McWilliams. I don't know Frank. Frank, if you watch this or any of your family, reach out to me. We don't have your video. I'd still like to talk to you and maybe set up a review. 1987, 1988, Tom Lee. We've talked to Tom. We're going to be doing both of his. Marcus Turnley, 1988. We're going to be meeting with Marcus, I believe. David Donnelly, 1986. Andy Lee, 1986. Antonio Earthman, 1985. He has passed away, of course. We're going to be doing a memorial video for him. And then 1984, Jim Perrin. So that's all the Christian County state champions we have to meet with as of this filming. And we like to start everybody off with the same question, basically, is what gets a young Desmond Wilford into wrestling?
Well, I actually was playing basketball up until 8th grade, and I got into some trouble. And thinking back, my uncle wrestled, and I wanted to be like my uncle who was playing basketball at first, and then go back just reiterating that I got into a little trouble. And I was like, going to school, you have to go to school, but extracurricular activity is something that I've always been a part of. Mm-hmm. And a couple of guys were going down to the blockhouse, and I forget who exactly. They're like, man, you should come try wrestling. Your uncle wrestled, you possibly could be good at it. So I gave it a shot, man. Went down to the blockhouse, and man, from there, I fell in love with it, man. You know, starting to learn about the guys, the Colonel champions, and you know, Hopkinsville High School champions, because that's where my uncle went to school, and that's all I can say. I fell in love with it, man. Found my half brother Grady, my cousin Sean. They was wrestlers. Sean Smith, who became a state champion, and got around those guys, man. We started building one another up. And on our journey to becoming champions. So that's what got me into it.
And of course, you talked about Grady and Sean. I think we can all agree both those guys are pretty weak.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Right.
I'm kidding, Grady and Sean, man. You know, I love you guys. Actually, all three of you guys were in the finals in '94 together. Sean, Grady,
yes,
and
we
yourself.
were.
So that's a pretty
Absolutely.
good representation of Christian County.
And you know, Sean's my cousin.
Right.
That's my blood cousin. Excuse me, blood cousin.
And like you said, Grady's your half brother?
Yes.
That's cool. I didn't. They might have said that in their video. I don't remember. But that's cool to know, though. So for people not from the Christian County, Hopkinsville area, because I've meant to ask this to a lot of other guys. Every time I forget to ask, I'm going to ask you, is at what age, what grade in school do you determine, okay, I'm going to be a black and orange tiger, I'm going to be a red, white, and blue colonel? Like, is it something that you just kind of grow up knowing you're going to Christian County or you're going to Hopkinsville? How does it work down there?
Back then, it was neighborhoods. I mean, which neighborhood, which district you fell in. And, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. My mother my uncles, my aunts, they all went to Hopkinsville High School. So I wanted to go to Hopkinsville High School, but that's not where the district allowed me and I was placed. So
Okay.
that's back in the 90s when I was coming up. That's how it came about.
I got you. And we, I think as of this filming, of course, I think everybody knows that the Christian County and Hopkinsville, they're going to combine schools. So, that's going to be an athletic powerhouse of a high school whenever they get going.
Yes, sir. I believe that to be so.
Sport. Football, basketball, wrestling, baseball, you name it, they're going to be tough. But so I guess you start as a freshman, correct? Start wrestling as a freshman.
Well, no, I actually had a couple matches in middle school.
Okay.
Had a couple matches in middle school, and then got into going into my freshman year. I was a starter. I was 145-pound starter. I wrestled, made it to state. I went 1-2 that year. 145 was a tough weight class, very tough. I didn't really have the discipline and the mental fortitude. I always had the talent in developing the skill set, and that was something. I'm just being honest with you, being totally transparent with everyone who listens. That mental fortitude and that confidence, always had to work at it. And so I started as a freshman, went to the state tournament. So that's how it came about.
Oh, I completely understand. And if you're coming in, what would that be? 94, 93, 92, 91. So really, if you started around 1990-ish, you're coming in to the program after Christian County come off their 1988 championship season.
Yeah, a couple years after, and like my best friend growing up, childhood friend, still best friend to this day. His brother was Orville Banks, and I used to remember going over to their house, man, and he's wrestling, and I was like, dang, man, I watching him, they studs. I wanted to be like him, wanted to be like his best friend, Alvin Byers and Cedric Byers. I was a puppy, man. I was trying to be around. I wanted to be around those guys and go to the tournaments, seeing them. I was like, man, I want that varsity jacket one day. Remember seeing the patches and seeing the uniform. And when I got a chance, got an opportunity to put the hood on the jacket and be a part of it, not knowing what a lot of tradition and what it took.
Yeah, of course, you're talking about tradition and starting early and stuff.
Uphold and wear that varsity jacket.
Now, in Willie Ennels, of course, we've talked on the phone. You said Willie's your guy, and you talked about just coming around being a pup, whatever. His brother, or I guess one of Willie's brothers, Gator Herring, he wins it in '86, and we actually we've done Gator's video, and Willie, he's just like a 6th, 7th grader in '86, and he's out there celebrating. And whenever we played the video for him, he was like, "That's me. I was like, "Man, you've been in wrestling a long time, And some of the guys, like I think his brother and a couple other guys, said that when Willie was younger, is like, they just bring him to practice basically just to throw him around, just to be the beat up dummy, and then he ends up being one of Hopkinsville's best wrestlers. So there's a lot to being said about getting into a sport early and just taking your lumps early and then just developing. Okay, you got the lumps out of the way. Now let's get in and let's kick some tail, right?
Yeah. That's another little piece of it. My 9th grade year, went to state. I came out with a winning record. My 10th grade year going in, I really believe, in all actuality, in my heart, just totally being transparent, I was ranked probably in the top 5, top 6, and probably at 145 or 152. Mm-hmm. I had a bad attitude. My attitude was horrible, man. I quit. I quit wrestling, quit football, baseball, powerlifting. Attitude was just horrible. I think that made a difference going into my junior year to that state tournament where I was ranked as the number 1 seed, and I came out with the 4th place medal. Still was all state, but that wasn't good enough. Knowing where you were setting and the field, even though the field was pretty stacked, and I had already did very well against that field, good competition. I still go back, still kick myself in the butt sometimes, thinking, what if you can't get it back? What if I wouldn't have quit that year? What if? So I think some of the driving force leading into that senior season, even though it's a couple seasons away.
And let's go back real quick. After we watch your match video, we'll talk about what you do now, because you have an absolutely phenomenal, I don't want to use the word business, but you have a phenomenal lifestyle now for what you do. But let's go back to that 1992 season, and you don't have to go into detail. This is not what this is about, but just talk to the high schoolers, middle schoolers, elementary schoolers now about, I don't want to say having a bad attitude, but if you could tell yourself something, that life lessons you've learned now back in 1992, what would that be? Because a lot of kids nowadays, I don't want to say they have a bad attitude, because that's not a right blanket for everybody. But kids nowadays, it seems to me, and again, I'm not speaking to every single kid, but a lot of kids that come into the sport or have been in sport for a while, is they want everything kind of handed to them on that golden platter. Here, take it, and if they don't get it, they have a bad attitude. So talk to the youngsters that are going to be watching this that may be in your shape or your position that you were way back in. What would you tell yourself then?
First of all, I'm going to quote the great coach Nick Saban. It takes what it takes. It takes what it takes. You have to be coachable. You have to have work ethic. You have to be disciplined, dedicated. You have to have the desire to get better. And if you're not open to those things, it's not going to work, no matter what. I wish, going back, I would have just shut my big mouth, listened to what my coaches were telling me, listen to what my parents were, my family was telling me,
right.
People in the neighborhood, the community was telling me, you're not bigger than what's going on. Just go in there, do what you're supposed to do, and work. That's what it comes down to. You have to work. You have to be coachable. If not, you will be replaced. You may not be replaced with someone as good as you. Maybe someone way below you. However, you will be replaced if you're not willing to do what it takes to get to the next level. And that's the day-to-day, whether it's school, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, it doesn't matter. You have to do what you have to do. And sometimes it doesn't call for you always saying something. You have to compromise a little bit. Maybe I should have compromised a little bit when coach said, hey, we want you to go wrestle, let's just say 52 instead of 45. Hey, we need you to go. I'm not running. No, go run. That's what he told me to do. That's going to make a difference. That's what champions do. They suck it up and go, no matter if they know it's right, wrong, or indifferent. If it's not killing you, get the work done. Get the work done, because the work is never done. So that's the thing. That was the attitude with me. Thinking that, okay, you're good, you have some talent. It was people that was way better than me. I should have just shut my mouth, listen to what these coaches are telling me to do, listen to my family, listen to the people in the community, the people who come before me, and the people who was there with me. So that's what we have to do. And I don't preach. I teach that every day. I teach it every day. I still have to pull myself out and then put myself back into the equation. Because, hey, I'm a champion on and off. And I had to take losses. My shortcomings is what's helping develop and enhance these youngsters today so that they can be youngsters on and off, whether it's the field, the mat, the court, whatever it may be. So that's my message. It takes what it takes. Piggybacking off of a great, and shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Be open to feedback. be coachable, work. When in doubt, continue to work. You can't go wrong. It's going to pay off. But if not, that's going to
Yeah, and of course, we'll talk a little bit later at the end of the video about what you do now as far as, working with youngsters, coaching, teaching. But like I said, we'll save that for the end of the video. Now, you talked about in 1993 as a junior, 171 pounds, coming in fourth place. And, like I said, you're on the podium, maybe not what you wanted, but I actually wrote down, and before I even we talked on the phone several times. We've been trying to get this lined up, feels like, for a while. Now, in 1993, you're a junior. You alluded to it earlier, 171 pounds. You come in fourth place. Maybe not the result that you want, but you're on the podium. You get to that third, fourth place match, and you wrestle a crosstown foe, if you will, but I guess more of a friend at the time than a foe. You wrestle Miguel Merritt from Hopkinsville. Now, poor little Miguel. I wonder whatever happened to that poor guy. Bless his heart. I wonder if he turned out to be a good wrestler. But
turned out okay.
Yeah, he turned out, I would say, decent.
Yeah,
decent.
Yeah.
Now, Miguel, gets you there in the third, fourth place match with a pin. And we'll talk a little bit more here in a minute about the friendship you have with Miguel and all the Hoptown guys. But, man, nevertheless, you come in fourth. Coming into that senior season, when practice, did you play football at Christian County?
Yes, I played football.
All right, so when football season ends, you come into the wrestling room. Do you say, I'm the best in the state, I just got to go now and prove it? Or do you realize that you're the best at some point, or you just have that mentality that nobody's beating me, or how does it go for you that year?
And let me go back just a little bit. After that season where I came up short for third and fourth against Miguel, Coach Kent Parent dropped me off and took me to my grandmother's house. I still remember that day very vividly. Walked up, opened the door, knocked on the door. She opened the door, and she asked me what happened. I told her I placed fourth. She looked me in my eyes. She said, I know you weren't going to win, son. Got quiet. She said, you talked about it too much. She said, if you want to be a champion next year, take off running now. And it always stuck in the back of my mind, man. And I kept that. And I said, I'm going to be a champion. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that right now. I'm going to be a champion. I shut my mouth. I went to work. Work ethic was never a problem with me. Sometimes I could get a little cocky, not going to say arrogant, a little cocky. But when she told me that, whether going into that season, man, running, lifting, finding the videos, tapes to watch, things of that nature, finding any little extra that we could get on the mat or, because shouts out to Coach Harris. He would always, Coach Tony Harris from Hopkinsville High School, he would always try to rally the troops where we can get in and compete against one another and just get better. But when my grandmother told me that, I knew I was going to be a champion. I shut my mouth and I went back, got in the lab. I knew that. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I knew I was going to be a champion.
And Grandma's speech worked for you. Now, coming into that season, what was it, 92, I guess it was, Hopkinsville come off they had the team championship. They had Willie, most outstanding. Livingston was on that team. Chad Edwards, Hopkinsville, was state runner-up. 93, I don't have it in front of me, but I think there was a couple Christian County placers. Of course, you and some other people. The Christian County and Hopkinsville together, every time I've been down there, it feels like a family. It feels like, it truly does. It feels like you're going to a family reunion. People bring food, they bring drinks. When the first time we come down, there were people that showed up that had no connection to wrestling. We were there. I'm not sure the name of the place. It was at it was an old library that had been converted into like a community center there in the basement. and there was probably 100 people down in that place, and just watching, talking, fellowshipping with everybody. You mentioned Coach Harris about, Tony's a good friend. He actually called me the other day with some information, and I need to pass it on. And this was his words, not mine. He said that Tulu was suffering from dementia, not remembering the coaches from Christian County that year. It was Bobby Owens and Corey Waldington.
Okay.
In his corner. Yes,
sir.
Tony, there's the shout out, man. I told you I would. Did Christian County and Hopkinsville back then, did you guys like get together in the off season and like just practice on your own, practice during the season together, like have like joint practices, or how did it work for you guys?
Yeah, like I was saying, Coach Harris, man, he would get us together. We'd go down to the block house, get some roll around a little bit. If there was some open tournaments, he would load us up, get us up early, pack us in, maybe another car or two. We'll go get some work. Man, Coach Harris has always been an intricate part of developing the wrestling community.
Yeah.
And we're very grateful for Coach Harris, And I think back selfishly, I wish he wasn't over there with the Tigers and he had been over there with us. Could have made a difference with us, because he's a hands-on, no nonsense, very loving gentleman. But he gonna bring it out of you. He's gonna bring it out of you.
Oh yeah, I have all the respect in the world for Tony. Got to officiate with him several times, and this year at the state tournament, we got to. He was, of course, I got to, as of this filming, I got to officiate the first girls Kentucky State tournament, and he was the official in charge of the weigh-ins. Like he would line all the weights up, get everybody lined up and stuff. And he done the Marine come out in him when he had everybody lined up, marching in single file. You know what I mean? That the staff sergeant Harris come out, because when they walked in, they knew exactly what to do. There was no question, if, ands, or buts. So Tony, man, much respect to you. So 1994, though, your year, you come in, and I was going to ask you about this. You come in as the number 2 seed out of the Western District.
I think I was the 4th seed. I was the 4th seed.
The paper here from the KHSAA website has you as it's got the 4th seed was Chase Heronshaw from North Hardin. The 3 seed was John Thomas from Union, you as the 2, and then Miguel as the 1 from the Western Kentucky District.
Okay.
Region,
Okay. Because Miguel and I, we wrestled in the regional finals, which I had 2 losses my senior year, and both guys I lost to, they were outstanding wrestlers. So that let me know that, I had a little something going. So I was right there being outstanding. So Miguel did me, and I think we went into overtime. He beat me in overtime in the regional finals. And then Burke, who I'm going to wrestle in the finals, he beat me in the Trinity tournament at 9-6. He beat me 9-6. And those
was it Jody Burke?
Yeah.
From Danville?
No. I beat him the year before. He beat me in the semifinals to go on to lose to Matthew Hecker.
Matt Hecker?
That was my junior year when I was yes, sir. So I lost to George Burke, who I wrestled. Eventually, I got my revenge on him in the state finals.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about your 1994 bracket. You start off the tournament with a 13-4 decision over Jeff Trapp from Campbell County. You move on. You wrestle Steve Jude from Sheldon Clark. You win that by a squeaker, a 3-1 decision.
It wasn't no squeaker, man. That was a hard fought match. That's not called a squeaker. That's called a hard fought match. that gentleman, that young man at the time, two-time state runner-up.
Yep.
He was in two dogs, man. We was colliding. We had to get out of it. And
Well,
clash of
I
types.
I don't
We
mean
had to go get.
squeaker as in, I mean, it was a squeaker as in you won by 3-1. You squeaked it out. You squeaked out a tough match, man, because the 3-1, that's what was it a takedown, a reversal? What was it that was the difference?
The difference was a takedown, a snap, short time. It was short time. He took a shot, popped him, snap, tossed him over. Thought I was gonna get some strokes. I didn't. Put him on the back. I got the 2, and that was it.
Okay. Now, as of this filming, up until last night, before this filming, I didn't have this video. And I want to say a big shout out to Harrison and Brent Courtney. They run the Woodford County Wrestling Archive YouTube channel. You move on to the semis. You're wrestling David Costello from Woodford County. Now, we're not going to tell you the result. We have the video, and we're going to watch it. So you guys are going to get a 2-for-1 here. We're going to pull up the match video from your semifinals. And, of course, my favorite saying of all time, you guys are seeing what we're seeing. This is the semifinals. You're wrestling David Costello. Desmond, man, let's watch this. Referee's giving you guys some type of instruction. First period, about 10 seconds in. Right here from neutral, what are we looking to do here? What's your go-to move?
I like the double leg under. I like to get to the underhooks, high crotch, maybe even a snap. And my thing was not, like I said, I've been here before. And when I was there before, I was wrestling not to lose. I wasn't wrestling to advance. So
right. All right, so he shoots in or tries to shoot in, you stuff it, you circle, go back out of bounds. Now, the way the video's cut, that was just the way the original video was. I've not done any editing to that part. So if there's a second or two cut out here, guys, that's just the way the original video was. All right, so we're out of bounds. We're still neutral. Nobody scored yet. Nice finish. Nothing yet. You're trying to pull him in. You get a takedown right there on the edge. Getting a near fall count. That's the end of the period. So you're up now, 2-0. You turn in. He takes you back down. You throw in a whizzer.
The 2-point takedown right there.
All right, so you're up now 3-0. Lift, and he does a really good job right there defending, but you're able to get that trip and take him down. So you go optional start here. Was that something that you were used to do, or?
I can't hear you. You keep cutting out on me.
Okay. You lift, you get another takedown. So you're up now 9-1. You're trying for like a bar series or a wing or something like that, it looks like.
Yeah. I wasn't a big rider, but Coach Ken Parent always told me, you get in those championship rounds, you have to ride a little bit. So that's exactly. I was riding. Hopefully I could get a little turn, something cheap, but I just wanted to make sure I kept him down and rode him until I could get to the end result.
Right. So there you go. You go back down to instead of optional start, you go to a ride. And that's the end of that period. You let him up. Shoot in. There you go. You lift. Oh. That's twice he's been able to defend that pretty good on you. Did you take him down?
It's all right. That's okay. We'll get to the end result here shortly.
Yep. You're right. Lift. There it is. There you go. Looks like you've got a pretty good half in. You walk to his head. And I believe.
Yeah, that's pretty deep.
I believe that's a fall right there. And you get the pin. So you got a pin going into the finals. Knowing that you're going to the finals, you have the opportunity, be a state champion. What are you feeling? Talk to us. What's going through your emotions right there?
Gotta start what I have to finish what I started. Like I said, going back to that conversation that I had with my grandmother, I was thinking about that in the back of my mind. And also, I remember when we were on our way up to the state meet, football coach, rest in peace, Coach Forbes. I wore a suit to school right before. And I remember Coach Forbes, I was talking to him. He said, man, what's going on? I said, I mean, business, man. I have to bring the gold back. Only thing was in my mind was closing the show. And I knew going into the state finals that Burt, he was a rider. And I could not afford to put myself in compromising positions on the map. You know, it may seem like a little bit slower, but I knew if I controlled the positions that I wanted to be in, that I would come out victorious. So, and that's what I did. It started off a little bit slow and moving, motion and everything, but I knew as long as I stayed in the center, circle, motion, change level, get to my ties, I would eventually get what I was looking for. And I did that. So only thing in my mind, I cannot go back home without this gold medal. I cannot go back home without this gold medal. I had to have it, man. I had to. My family, my friends, my community, I feel like they was riding with me. Either they was riding with me or they was riding with Miguel, one of the two. That's who they wanted to bring it back. Just being honest. And not to keep referencing my guy, but that's my guy. And they wanted one of us to come back home with it. No one else.
And of course, you talk about Miguel. He gets to the semifinals. He's wrestling George Burke from Henry Clay. Yes. And George Burke wins by a fall. So you're wrestling George Burke in the finals. Your record coming in is 30-2. His record is 38-3 coming into the
They had me at 30-2. I thought it was 32-2.
Well, that's just what the KHSAA bracket has, 30-2.
Okay. That's no problem. I thought it was 32-2. If that's what it is, I'm 30-2. Not a big deal.
Not a big deal. Now, real quick, let's talk about just how good the wrestling was in 1994. We've done a lot of these review videos, but 103 pounds, Jason Talbot. Jason goes on to wrestle at Stanford. We're going to be doing Jason's review videos at some point. He wrestled at Oldham County, of course. Teammate of yours, Grady, he's on the channel. Greg Woodring, he beat Joe Carr. His review videos on the channel. Tommy Seibel from Tate's Creek. Brandon Wilkins, Campbell County. Tim Lawson, he's on the channel, 135 pounds. Michael Lee from Simon Kenton at 140. Steve Kaiser at 145 from Simon Kenton. Don Blevins from Fern Creek at 152. Tendai Charasika at 160. Of course, you at 171. Jody Burt from Danville at 189. And then three-timer Bruce Stepp from Sheldon Clark, most outstanding that year. One of the best heavyweights in state history. So that was a stacked year, from top to bottom, from Jason Talbot to Bruce Stepp. Man, there's not a weak link in that 13 weight classes anywhere.
Right. We sure you. A lot of guys don't know. I wrestled collegiately a little bit myself. I went to junior college in Merrimack Community College, won my conference a couple times there, went to nationals a couple times, placed sixth in the nation. Then from there, I went out to Nebraska, Omaha, at the time, top Division II. I did All-American there. I think I started for a whole season. Things didn't go the way I wanted. Red-shirted, had a winning record my red shirt season. Started a little bit my senior year, had a couple injuries. So things didn't go the way I liked. But however, I did get an opportunity to wrestle at a fairly decent level. Wrestled some good guys, took some bumps, gave some bumps. And like I said, man, that when you get out there in the nation, it's totally different. Like you were talking about guys starting at a very young age. We really started late. Coming from where we come from. We just had some guys who were talented, coachable, who wanted to do it, tough, had dog in them. That's what we consider that inner toughness, dog. Yeah. But it's a different level, man. It's a different level. You have to have that experience makes a difference. You know, those subtle movements make a difference. That mat awareness, being able to do the small things at all times that leads to the big things. And those are great performances. So, yeah, man. So just wanted to share that with you. I know a lot of guys didn't know that about me, and I just wanted to share that with you, Alex.
No, hey, no, that's great. And I'm sure a lot of people watching this probably didn't know that. And that's part of the whole series, man, is just being able to tell everybody's individual story. Now, being in the finals, knowing that you can't come back to Christian County without that gold medal, it's got to be exciting. It's got to be a little bit nerve-wracking. It's got to be knowing this is what you've basically worked for this whole last year. And so many people that have been in the finals, and even myself getting to officiate the state tournament, boys and girls, is I've got to officiate this. I just finished up my 18th season. Of all them, I've done 2 state finals. I've done the boys finals in 2020 and then the girls finals in 24. Of those thousands of matches, you can just feel it's different when you're out there. All the eyes of the gym, the arena's on you. Everybody's looking at you, knowing that, you know, they don't hang up banners in Christian County's gym or their trophy case. They don't put anything up for state runner-ups. You got to have that state championship. You know what I mean?
Yes.
In that big trophy case, they're not going to put up state runner-up. They put
not going to do it.
They put up state champions, and this is it, man. This is your shot. You've got to the I guess in video game terms, you've got to the final boss level. This is it. This is where you want to be. So we're going to pull up your video here and
throwback, man.
As you can tell by the graphics, this is so 1994. It's almost, you can tell just by looking that it's back in the 90s. Boys wrestling finals, 171 pounds. Desmond Wilford versus George Burke. Man, here we go. Now you're in that red singlet. In your semifinals, you wore that blue singlet. So was this your all's final singlet?
Yes. Yes, sir.
I got you. Now, George is a pretty big. He looked to be a little bit taller than you.
Yeah, he's a couple inches taller. Yeah.
And you can hear the Christian County mat maids back in the background.
Mat maids, man, they give us that little extra spunk that we needed, man.
Yep.
Go out of bounds, and you hear them getting it going. Hey, they were good at what they did.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. He was a better wrestler than I was. You hear me?
I hear you, man. I get it.
And I have no problem admitting that. But man, I was on a mission. My thing was, you know, like I said, control the positionings where I was strong. He was attacking. He came out. Notice, putting my hips on and stuff in his head. I probably should have been hit for a stalling. He was taking 3, 4, 5 shots in a row. He's at a body lock here. Hey.
There it is. He shoots in. And he tries to lift, but you do a good job with your hips. You're controlling his head. Let's go. We got to move, fellas. We got to move. Let's work. That's the referee in me talking.
Hey, that's okay. I'm not going to let you dictate my state championship. I'm going to stand there and fight it.
I get it.
You know?
Hey, I get it, bro. I get it. All right, so you've wrestled a little bit more than a minute. Kind of got the nerves out. Are we just looking for offense here, or whatever he gives you, or what are we doing here?
Like I told you before, I'm looking to control those ties and don't put myself in a vulnerable position. Yeah. He was tough. He was very tough, man.
You're trying to lift again, and he's able to defend. The score is 0-0. We're in the second period.
Yes. And I'm gonna be honest. I felt him wearing down. He took a lot of shots, and I was stuffing him. I had heavy hips, putting a lot of pressure on his head. He was wearing down.
You nice pulling back in?
Let that thing go. Now,
it looks like here you have a shaved head. Was that by design?
Yeah, you know, I had a fresh fade going into, because my thing always kept that fade. And going into the finals, I let my man, once again, Miguel Merritt, he was the barber. He gave me a bald head in the back before the tournament. And I said, man, I'm going on a vision quest, man. I'm going to get it naked head, man.
All right. I was wanting to talk because you talked to me about that on the phone, that Miguel gave you a haircut, and I was like, I got to bring that up. So nobody scored yet here. We're still 0-0 in the second period. And right there, I don't know, man. That was close. Backing up on me. What are we doing?
It should have been installing. Got the underhooks to the crotch. I told you I like those underhooks to high crotches. No good head position there. Got out of bounds.
There it is. There it is. Now, we got a score right here. We need some points. You got the front headlock. We got a score here.
We're coming.
Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. All right. That's the end of the second period. And you cut him. I was going to ask you, because that put him up 1-0, and you hadn't got a takedown. Was that something that you kind of just done on the fly, or?
No, I knew I could score on him. I've taken him down before. I've thrown him to his back. I told you I could feel him weakening. I could feel him weakening in there. I didn't want to be on the mat. He rolled me out. He had rolled me out. He had rolled me out in the Christmas tournament.
There it is.
That's pinned. He's pinned right there, man.
3.
Where's the referee in you?
4. I'm looking. I don't see it yet, man.
Okay. All right.
I don't see it yet. I'm seeing bridging. I seen bridging. I don't know. Bridge. He's bridging still. Now, that should be called out of bounds, even back in 1994.
Yeah. I think it should be called a pin. That's just me. That's just the competitor in me.
Yeah.
That's the referee in you. That's the competitor in me.
And you're doing a good job there of holding him. And he turns over. Now, who's that right there in your corner I saw?
That was Coach Johnson and Coach Bobby Arms. Rest in peace.
Okay. You get another takedown, so that puts you up, I believe, 7-2 or 7-3-1.
Yes, sir.
7-2, I think.
Yes, sir. Ride him a little bit. Just keep him down. You know, I like to say I also went through this tournament without giving up one offensive point scored on me. I took pride in that tournament as well.
There it is. So now it's 7-3, late in the third period. And there it is, man. You win.
Yes, sir.
You win by a final score 7-3.
Yes, sir.
Get your hand raised. And here you are on top of the medal podium. Getting that gold medal that you couldn't come back to Christian County without. So, watching this video back.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Remember it?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Watching it back, does it play out the way you remember it after all these years?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, man, it felt good. I wanted to be a champion so bad. I didn't want to go back to the neighborhood without that. I just didn't, you know. Just thinking about it, you know, the year before, losing, my brother getting to the finals, my half brother Grady getting to the finals, losing the car 3-2. And you know, it's just a feeling still to this day. You know, I've accomplished, been around a lot of things. That's one of the things that still, you know, I think about from time to time and keeps me going. You can't take that away. You can't. You know, I would have loved to have been a 2-time, 3-time champion. My cards didn't fold that way. It didn't come out that way. So, like I said, man, that's still an undeniable feeling. Can't take it away. You know, it just feels good. I got goosebumps watching that, holding my hands up, jogging in place, saying to I remember we used to run that hill. We thought that hill was so big at nighttime, running up that hill, state champ, state champ. We used to be out there running, man, and got a chance to lift my hands. And I remember Coach Jim Parent say, you never throw up the number ones until you are a state champion. I had an opportunity that stuck in my mind when I was coming into the reins of, you know, being with Coach Parent. Jim Parent was there. He was on his way out, Coach Kent Parent and the other coaching staff. So, man, that meant a lot to me, man, being able to go back home and, you know, being celebrated for a short stint before going off doing other things. A lot of ups and downs, but that's like one of the highs in my life.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine that, man. I can imagine. And yeah, you mentioned Grady. That video is on the channel of him wrestling Joe Carr in the 93 finals. And of course, you know, you guys get to come back to of course Sean come up a little bit short against Jason there in the 103, but you had yourself, Grady, come back as state champion. So must have been pretty nice coming back, you know, showing the family, hey, we got 2 gold medals in the family now.
Yeah, man, feel good. Still a good feeling, you know. Every now and then, you gotta pat myself on the behind and say, shit, let's go get it. Get that little chant in the back of your head, state champ. Hey, it means something, you know. So we got to get to it. We have to get to it.
And that's something about this series that we've, you know, done so many videos with so far, and we still have so many more to do, is to hear people talk about not necessarily that the goal wasn't, I guess, let me go back and say this, is in life, we don't go around wearing our Letterman jackets. We don't go around with our gold medals around our neck all the time. Now, if it's a reunion for like the team, or you're being inducted to the Hall of Fame or something like that, yeah, of course, yeah, that's why you have them. That's why you keep them, is to wear them and to be proud of them. But you don't go around all the time wearing your school shirt or whatever it is. But whether you made it on top of the podium, whether you made it onto the medal podium, or whether you just wrestled in school, just maybe to help you with some type of social anxiety that you may have had, or whatever the case is, it's not that you learn to wrestle. It's what you learn about yourself that wrestling brings out.
Yes, sir.
And in doing this, so many people have said, not just with the series, but people I've met doing the series or refereeing, talking about how that before wrestling, that they would have never been able to accomplish some of the things in life that they've been able to accomplish, because it was either, for lack of a better phrase, man up or get my butt kicked every day.
Yes, sir.
And if you let it, life can kick your butt every second of every day. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's just the facts. I mean, and if you can stand up to life and say, this is it. You are not taking me to my back anymore. You are not taking me down anymore, life. You are not doing this to me anymore. And you know how to, I don't want to stand up and say assault somebody, but when you can stand up to life and say, is that all you got? Wrestling was harder than this. Come on,
Yes,
give me some. Come on, bring it on. Is that all you got? And it seems like with you that when your grandma said, I knew you wasn't going to win because you talk too much. And then you have said that to yourself, state champ, state champ, state champ, going up and down that hill. That has stuck with you all these years later.
Yes.
And it's great that made such an emotional impact on you that you had to go out and give your best. You knew that anything less, and you wouldn't have. You would not have won against Burke if you didn't give your best.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I love about this series.
I agree. And another thing, to quote the great Coach Dan Gable, he says, I know I'm quoting this correctly, once you've wrestled, everything else is easy.
Yep.
And I find myself sometimes hitting the floor early in the morning, body may be aching, maybe a little bit fatigued. I say, come on, let's go get one. We got to go get one. Come on, let's go, old man. Let's go get one. So I do agree with you. And wrestling has installed work ethic in me. It's self-discipline. Taught me how to dedicate myself to something bigger than myself.
Right.
That's life, to my family. So I'm agreeing with everything you're saying. So that's why I didn't say anything. I was just that's agrees. Yes, sir.
Now, after earlier you talked about wrestling in college, and you made it to the national tournament, play sixth, and you've went on to a couple other places since then. But I believe that you are considered like one of the best. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're like one of the best personal physical training instructors in the country, correct?
Fitness, I like to consider myself a fitness specialist, sports performance specialist, fitness coach, sports performance coach. I don't know about the rankings, but I have had some very unique, I've used experiences. I have some very unique experiences, been able to help develop and enhance young student athletes from a novice all the way to a Hall of Fame level, and everything in between, working with fitness, having fitness clients, amputees, people who coming at me. Confidence is low because I know what it's like when your confidence is not always there. I don't have a problem. I like to use the term transparent, being transparent with my clients to help them develop up. I've had some very, very unique experiences, and still to this day, working with some of the top talent in the nation, being able to travel around the United States, being able to having opportunities to travel outside of the United States, helping people to develop and enhance, not just from a physical, but a psychological advantage. And my thing is, I do attribute that to my background coming up in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, the Christian County area. Man, it wasn't easy, man. It wasn't easy. And I pull from those experiences from time to time. So I don't know about the rankings or anything like that, but I take what I do very seriously. I love it. I love to see people get better. When you can spend time with people, seconds, minutes, hours, days, leading into years, developing those relationships, networking, and then being able to see the fruits of your labor. They say you tell a fruit by the tree that, you tell a tree by the fruit that it bears. I've been blessed to work with some good people and work alongside good people. So to go along what you're saying, I've had some pretty cool and unique experiences. I don't know where they rank me. I take whatever, but I'm still looking like a champion. You're looking for the next job. You're looking for the next project. You're looking for the next person you can pour into to help develop and enhance. That's just like a champion. They're looking for what's next. Who's in the next round? Who can I put my hands on? That's the way of life. That's the wrestling way.
Something about this series, and I've said in other videos, but maybe you've not watched any videos, maybe Desmond's videos brought you to the channel, we started the series in January of 22. And of course, this is April of 24 as of this filming. So we've been going a little bit more than 2 years now, and been out to, who knows how many meets, probably 60 or so wrestling meets, probably more than that since we've been doing it. And as the series has gotten more popular, we've had coaches, parents, people that are involved maybe with like youth teams or whatever. They've told me that they'll set their kids down, their wrestlers down, and they'll say, okay, let's watch Livingston Merritt's 97 finals. Let's watch this person. Let's watch, Bruce Stepp's 94. Let's watch whoever it may be, whoever they pick for that week or whatever. And they'll teach, hey, watch how he threw his legs in here. Watch how he ran this half. Watch how he was able to throw this cradle, or whatever the point they're trying to make. And I say that because one of the beauties of this series is you can't always have somebody like Desmond Wilford come to your house and do private lessons. You can have one of the best fitness and physical training instructors in the country come to your house and give you private lessons every day. But you can listen to what he says about his struggles or what got him to where he's at as many times as you want to rewind the video on YouTube and watch it. So I say that to say, Desmond, speak to the high schoolers, the middle schoolers, the elementary school kids and you don't have to give away, everything, but give them a couple points on what's going to take them to the next level, whether that's coming out for a wrestling team, whether that's making the varsity squad, making it onto the podium, winning it, whatever step they are in their wrestling journey. Talk to them just for a little bit. Give them a few nuggets of what you've picked up along your life about what's going to get them to the next step in their wrestling career.
I truly believe, and I'm a firm believer of the basics. We get away from the basics. We get away from the base foundation. We speak in wrestling: stance, motion, hand fighting, controlling the ties, setting them up, penetrating, hitting a good shot. The game's evolving. It's evolving right now. I watch some of the guys I work. We don't want to sprawl anymore. We go straight to our butt. My thing is, and I'm not knocking that. If that's what you're good at, you're good at. However, if you don't have a foundation, you will be exposed. You can look at it once again, all the way up to the national D1 Olympic level, good stance, good motion, good position, good head position, hand fighting, level change. When they hit, they hit. Now, they have things that may look fancy, but here's the thing. They have mastered the basics and they have a strong foundation. They have something to pull from. So I'm always reiterating the basics. The greats never get tired of doing the basics. You know, you may hit something slick. That's the talent and maybe maybe the skill that you've developed. But when it comes down to those tough and hard fought matches, the grind, the day to day, you have to have a base. And I remember, not to be selfish, going into some tournaments and things of that nature, trying to hit something slick. No, stick with what got you here, man. Stick with what got you here and keep going over the basics. Keep going over the basics. Keep going. Did I say keep going over the basics? And that's the same thing in life. You got to have a foundation. You got to have something to pull from. So that's what I would tell the young athletes, and get yourself around good coaching. Don't get around coaches that's going to sell you some high flyers or send you to some camps where, just because this guy is a 3-time national champion, that doesn't mean that's going to go into your development. You have to be around solid coaches on all levels who are going to push you. Once again, not just from a physical, but a mental, and put you in positions where, they're teaching you, like I said, on all levels on the mat, all phases of the mat, So those are some of the things that I was missing. But now that I'm teaching, I always go back to the basics. What do you say? We live in a world where there's a lot of, instant gratification. Man, you can't get away from the base. You have to have a base. So that's the message I want to put out. And don't be afraid. If you have the ammo, use it. I know what it's like to have the ammo and not lose it. Don't look at it as wins and losses. Go perform. If you perform at the highest level you possibly perform and you win, we will advance. If we don't, we still was at the highest level that we performed at our highest level. We came up short. Now, let's go back and find a way to get better. Don't look at it as wins and losses. Work, and go perform. It's all about the performance, man. You got to perform. And don't forget what got you there. You got to keep working. So that's what I would give to the youth. And I hope someone picks up on it.
Oh, I'm sure that they will. And to that point, I don't know about you, but, whether it's Friday night football or college on Saturday or even up to the big boys in the NFL, I don't know about you, but it kills me to see a defender, whether it's a linebacker, defensive tackle, secondary, whoever, and instead of just wrapping up, driving through, getting a tackle, whatever, they try for these big highlight flips or these big highlight hits, and the receiver, running back, whoever, they juke them, they're gone, touchdown, and the guy looks like a complete goober because all they had to do was just wrap up, drive, and get the tackle. Basics. Good friend of the channel, 2-time national champion from Iowa State, David Carr. His review videos on the channel, Kentucky State champion 2014. In his championship match of this year, 2024, right out of the gate, he shoots a double leg and gets it. Basic. And I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad that you said that just stick to the basics, guys. The basics will never, your fundamentals and your basics will never lead you wrong.
Won't lead you wrong. They will
never lead you wrong. And I'm glad Desmond said that. I'm glad I gave him, he was able to put that out there. So before we wrap videos up, we like to give everybody the opportunity to, give a shout out, say anything that we've not talked about or whatever. So if there's anything that we've not talked about you'd like to bring up, ma'am, the floor is yours.
No, first and foremost, I want to thank you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
It means a lot. It means a lot. Man, I get goosebumps just sitting here having the opportunity. Some of the names that you mentioned, I don't want to mention names, but some of the great champions that comes before me. I know I wasn't in their class, but still, like I said, I just wanted to be around those guys, be able to bump elbows with them, and that means a lot for me to be sitting here talking to you and some of those guys that you're mentioning, and I'm in the same breath just a little bit. So first I would like to thank you, and I would like to thank my city of Hopkinsville, Kentucky, Christian County, for pouring into me, pushing me forward. We don't come from much out from where we're from. However, it's a rich tradition, and I put it on my back, man. Put it on my back. Western Kentucky, I love them. No matter what we're going through or what we have going, they help make me, help scold me, and I pull from that. And I want to tell everyone in Western Kentucky, I love you and I thank you. And I want to tell the rest of the wrestling world in Kentucky, I thank you for help making me a true champion today. And once again, Alex, I just want to thank you, man. And all the love that you're showing to all the champions and everyone in far in between, I thank you.
Well, man, it's a labor of love. It truly is. Really growing up, I wasn't a reader. I wasn't somebody that would sit down and read a book. And to this day, I'm still not a reader, but the audiobook world has opened me up. And not to get too philosophical here, but there's a book by a guy named Napoleon Hill called Think and Grow Rich. And in it, you familiar with the book?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. And in that, he outlines, the book was wrote in like the 1920s, but it still holds the fundamentals, the basics, never lead you wrong. And he covers what he calls the 3 laws of prosperity. And I want to talk about them just for really brief.
Yes, sir.
Is the first law of prosperity, he says, is there a need for what you do? Is there a need for the service that you offer? And I felt a great need that Kentucky wrestling had been hid for far too long. It had been, and no offense to basketball, I love basketball as much as the next person, but like in high school, if a high school basketball team wins the district tournament or goes to RUP in the regional tournament, whatever, they get a full page ad in the paper, billboards. Wrestling could have state champions, and they get, a little blurb. Christian County, 2 state champions. Basketball wins district, big page, right?
Yes, sir.
There was a need for what we had. There's a need for this. And I was like, why is this not already done? You know what I'm saying? When I got the idea for it, I was like, this is the greatest idea in the history of ideas. Why have I not done this already? So the first law of prosperity is there a need for what you do? The next law is, how good are you at filling that need? And I feel like with me being an official wrestling in Kentucky, even though I wasn't the best wrestler, I never even made it. I only wrestled 2 years. I felt like I had the knowledge. I could research. I had the computer skills. I had the gift of gab, if you will, to make some video. Some people, they're not good talkers, and I get it. Some people are great talkers, and sometimes you just have to sit back. Hey, I'm here with so-and-so, and they take the whole, they just run with the football. So is there a need for what you do? How good are you at filling that need? And then the third law of prosperity is, how difficult would it be to replace you? And there's no intentions of me to not do this anymore. My goal is to do every state wrestling champion that there is, that we can get video for, that's still alive, that wants to meet with us. And once we complete that, then I guess it will be time to move on to something else. But having the need for something, and then being able to recognize that you can fill that need, like what you've done with your physical training, your personal development, that is when you feel fulfilled. Is when you're adding value to people's life. And whenever I can sit down with somebody and show them their match video, or maybe they've passed on, it's a memorial video, and we can show their family, their kids, their grandkids, whoever it may be, hey, this is how good your dad was. This is how good your brother was. This is how good your uncle was, whoever it may be. That's where I get my fulfillment out of. That's when I'm like, I'm on top of the world whenever I know I can give something that nobody else can, and it's this review series. And you wore a pair of shoes in that match that have a a very good history. So real quick, tell us the story about those shoes you wore.
Those were actually my shoes. I had a pair of Kenny Monday wrestling shoes, and like I told you, Merritt, Miguel Merritt and I don't know, we probably was like Ali and Frazier, man. We used to beat one another up, growing up with one another. I don't know how. I still don't know how he got my shoes, but anyway, probably gave them to him. That's my guy. He end up, I know for sure, winning when he beat Step the first year, snapped him down, did whatever he did to him, pinning, got OW. And then I'm almost for certain the second year, he won another state championship in there. So I'm going to say I gave him a little bit of luck. So we had to say he wore my shoes, got a little bit of luck, and that's my guy, man. Made, went from one title to 3 titles in those things with an OW. I wish I could have brought that trophy home, but nah, that wasn't going to happen. So my man, he had my wrestling shoes. He went on to do great things. So yeah, that's a part of it. That's a little part of the history.
I'll have to whenever
shouts out to Miguel Merritt.
Oh yeah, whenever I put this video up on YouTube and Facebook and stuff, I'll be sure to tag Miguel and say, "Hey, Miguel, did these shoes look familiar?" And see what he says. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Desmond, man, excellent interview here today with you. We've covered a lot of ground, a lot of topics. We've been trying to get this lined up. It feels like for a couple years now. We just never could really get it lined up. But
yeah, today, my man, Lil Bubba. Yeah, my man Damian Level, Lil Bubba. He called me a couple of years ago, and shouts out. That's one of my main guys too. That's one of my guys. He's been running with me for a long time. A lot of ups and downs, ins and outs. His son just won a state championship. Yep. Shouts out to Booby and on his state championship. And we've been running a long time, and he's been trying to connect us. I know we've been playing phone tag, and like I said, it's a long time coming, man. I love what you're doing. I can't say it again, but I love what you're doing. Putting Kentucky wrestling on the map, and I'm going to say it one more time. I thank you, and I know the rest of the state thank you. I know the rest of the champions thank you, and you should thank yourself.
Man, I really appreciate that. I do. Booby's review videos on the channel, and so is Damien's. Have you watched Booby's yet?
No, I watched Coach Levels though. Levels.
Now Booby, man, don't tell him I said this. I'll make sure to cut this part out so Damien and Booby can't hear it. But I believe, man, if we had to take a computer simulation and put Booby up against Damien, I'm not sure. I think Booby might get the pin there. You know what I mean? Damien, I love you, man. I love you.
Cut it out. You got to cut that out, man. Cut that out.
Man, Booby's gonna, whether he goes football, whether he goes wrestle, man, he's gonna be a terror wherever he goes. For real,
it's gonna be tough. Been doing it for a long time, man. He's been around since 6 years old. I remember running the stairs and everything with him, going back to visiting practice. He's always been around it. He's stuck with it. It's inevitable. So I like to see those youngsters who stick with it. Go through the adversity and come out on the other side. That's what it's about, and that's a part of why I do what I do. I know I'm working in purpose, and my shortcomings is what's making others great. And I love it. Just like you're serving a purpose. Yep. I know I'm serving a purpose. We have these youngsters in the world that we live in. They need someone to look them in the eye, to look them right in the eye, and look, someone they know that's been there, done that, and still doing that. And that's what it's about, man. So,
we'll wrap it up by saying this is, I don't remember the study. It was some university. I don't remember which one. I'm sorry. But there was a study done that it showed that I think it was 12-year-old, specifically boys, 12-year-old boys, I believe, to 16-year-old boys, the time that they get arrested the most or commit the most violent crimes is on weekdays, Monday through Fridays, during school, when school's in session. between the hours of 3 and 7 p.m. Why is that? Most of them go home and there's no adult supervision. What happens? They get in with the wrong crowd.
Yes, sir.
They get in with people they shouldn't be in with. Next thing you know, man, somebody that had a promising future is looking at jail time, prison time, whatever, just because they had nothing to do. They didn't have an extracurricular activity. They didn't have somebody like yourself or whoever it may be, not just you, but whoever to look up to, a practice to go to keep them out of a life that they don't want to be in. So, youngsters, get yourself involved in something. No matter if it's wrestling, football, basketball, baseball, track, choir, drama, whatever draws your attention, get into something. Don't just lay around the house. Don't let your life get into a situation to where you just were bored and got in with the wrong crowd, and now, who knows what's going to happen to you. You're looking at a judge, you're looking at a jury of 12 peers, and you're thinking, it's over, when you could have just joined something and kept yourself out of this situation, man. And it's people like Desmond that has the business that he has, molding young people, making sure, man, the next generation, man, we're out there giving it our best, right?
Yes, sir. You're
Absolutely.
exactly right. You hit the nail on the head.
Man, I think that's a good place to end this one. So thank you guys for watching. We will see you guys and girls on the mats.